the family culture that you want to see someday. Maybe it's not the culture that you experienced. Maybe you didn't have the best culture at home growing up, but you can start now praying for that future culture. Yes. It's okay to want to have Christmas morning at your own house.
I remember you telling me this. You said you can start your own family tradition. And I was like, yes. I can?
When I figured that out, family culture it wasn't a problem anymore. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately the friction was that I was putting my family before my spouse.
Siblings. A daughter, she will accept whatever treatment from a man one day that she got from her father. You are the place that they can come to and should come when they have questions, and that we won't know all the answers, but we will move heaven and earth to help them figure it out.
The kids that come back home are the kids that they identified home as a place of peace and not chaos.
It was this very, very wealthy man. They asked him what his definition of success was, and he said, my definition of success is my adult children wanting to spend time with me.
This is Unexpected with Hannah Love. In this podcast, you will gain a new perspective of how God loves you enough to call you to things that you couldn't have imagined for yourself.
Welcome back.
We're back.
I know. I think people may have gotten nervous that I disappeared and was never coming back. But baby number 4 is here. I have been enjoying time with him. And sis, I'm so glad that you have joined me to welcome everyone back to season 2 officially of Unexpected.
Season 2 of Unexpected.
You want to sing that for us?
I mean, it didn't sound like Shay, but
it didn't. Yeah, Shay will come back. We'll have him come on and do a family rendition.
That's right.
Well, thank you for coming on, sis.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It's awesome to be here in a new setup, the official Arkansas studio.
Yes.
Since we're here, we always come and visit for a while in the summer, and we're back, and I'm thrilled to have the space, and I'm thrilled to have you.
Thank you, sis.
Let's get into it. What are we going to talk about today?
Man, I am really excited about this one because I feel like we're going to have to set a time limit here because we could yap about it forever. But we're going to talk about family culture.
I love this.
And I love this. I'm very excited. And one of the things you said is you were a little worried because you said, sis, I feel like we're kind of at the beginning of setting our family culture together.
Yes. Because the littles are little.
The littles are little. But whenever we were discussing it, one of the things is I said, I feel like we have established a family culture and maybe we've just never labeled it.
Well, and that can start as husband and wife. As you said, when you get married, you have to learn how to establish who your family is.
That's
because you become one. So thank you for pointing that out earlier. And how would you say you and Cody first started establishing your family culture?
Well, that's a good question. So Cody and I met, he's 8 years older than me. Mm-hmm. And so I think our dynamic early on was a little different than some people because I married someone who is a strong, masculine man. And so he had a picture in his mind of what family was going to look like. And he married an oldest daughter. So I had the same thing going on,
Evenly matched.
We were matched evenly. And I'll never forget, we did some premarital counseling, which I always recommend, especially within the church if you have a really awesome mentor. But I'll never forget one of the things he said, Erica, Cody, you guys are coming from families who have a strong Christian background, but you have to remember that they're very different. And what you're creating together is something totally separate. So you have to acknowledge that right off the bat, that what your parents did and what Erica's parents did, those are great things. And you're going to bring things from both.
Right.
But then what you're creating has to be totally separate. And you can't be one or the other. It has to be something completely new. And so, and you're following God in that, and you're including him in that. And when you get married, it's not just you and your spouse when you're a Christian.
Right.
It's the Lord. So it's the three of you and what you create together. And so you're right. It starts really early. What about you and Shay?
Everyone here probably knows our story, but we really got thrown into it fast. And so we dated long distance for a year. found out we were going to have Asher, and then we eloped, and then I moved to Nashville. But he was on the road over 250 shows the first year that we were married, and then the Asher came. And so I feel like I know everyone's story is going to look a little bit different, but I think it took us a few extra years to start establishing what that would look like, because Shay was gone so much that we really had to figure out what that dynamic was going to be, because it was totally different when it was just me and baby Asher. Then Shay would come home for a few days and we would have to reacclimate. So it took a few years to figure out, I don't know, what that should look like.
And it's interesting because culture, when you get married, and Cody and I had Ellie, we were married 1 year before we were pregnant with Ellie. And so we had a year together. We were surviving that, And honestly, we were just trying to stay married in that first year. There was no establishing culture.
The first years, wouldn't you say, are the most difficult? Oftentimes.
Yeah, oftentimes.
You can also, devil's advocate, you can also be in a honeymoon phase for the first few years of marriage.
I've always wondered what that looks like.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's good that we get thrown in the fire fast and furious, and that way we've got the kinks worked out for the later years.
That's true, and we can pray that for our babies, because I know that that's God's will, is that you have a honeymoon phase, and all of the things go much better than Cody and I's first year. He would say the same thing. He would say the same thing, except probably a lot. He would double down.
But the blessing of having babies early on is that it really forces you, I think, to start establishing what your priorities are within the home. Not just for your marriage, but for your children.
100%. I say all the time, I feel like Ellie, my oldest, saved me, because, man, you just immediately are forced to be less selfish.
That's
Whereas you might put that, just continue being selfish. Ellie, when I saw her, I just knew that I had to grow up,
That's right.
And it was a wonderful experience, and I'm so thankful for that. But, I think what you don't think about, when people hear that you're getting married, one of the first questions people always talk or ask is, how do you fold the towels? They're like, oh, well, you got to decide on how you're going to fold the towels. Oh yeah. And I don't know if it's a Southern thing, but when you come from two different families, it might just be my family thing.
I do know that there is an age. There is an age where you learn how to fold the towels as a daughter.
Did you and Shay fold the towels the same?
Sis, I didn't know people asked this question.
Oh yeah, they ask this question.
Shay doesn't fold the towels, though.
Or they'll say, does he put the seat down when he goes to the bathroom? That's another thing. And one of the things, I just think that's kind of comical, because looking back at the first years, you're thinking, I don't care about any of that. I mean, we were dealing with
when you've got a newborn.
When you've got a newborn, or you're just trying to communicate, and your families that you come from are complete opposites.
Right.
Those are the things you're going through. I didn't care if Cody wadded up the towels and threw them in the... I don't care. I was just trying to learn how to communicate with him. And so I think that's step one of culture. And family culture is learning how to communicate well. Don't you think?
I 100% agree. And I also think that another really big factor that can play, and maybe one of the first decisions that you make as a family or as a husband and wife unit, is finding a home church. And so it's like at that point where you could go and visit around different churches, but you're both going to have different opinions based on what you've experienced. And that was probably much different than the normal as well, because Shay was on the road. So he would come home Sunday afternoons or even Mondays, depending on where he was. So I would go by myself church shopping,
about that,
if you will, which was really intimidating, because a lot of times I would go with my newborn baby or with my young, baby, and people would be like, oh, where's your husband?
Bless her heart. She's a single mama.
I know.
Just bringing these babies
to the Lord's house.
Yep.
So it was kind of intimidating, and it was disheartening a little bit, because even if you did find a place you're like, maybe this is a good fit. I didn't have Shay there to be like, yeah, I loved it, or just no other feedback. So when we did find a church home, I feel like that was like a major win, that we were both like, yeah, that felt good. It felt right. I've got a peace about it. You agree on their doctrine. And that wasn't something that I ever considered before marriage, because and I grew up Baptist.
Yep.
And y'all grew up Assemblies.
Yep.
Very different. That's a spectrum.
It's a real spectrum. We laugh about it all the time.
We do. It's like my favorite thing.
Because it really does set the tone for so much in your household, and you don't even realize it. There's such a church speak or language that we have that's a little different. It's funny to listen to you now, because you are...
I'm fully in.
You're fully in, but there's just so many things. We could go on and on about it, but honestly, that does set your family culture too, because everybody kind of needs to speak the same language.
That's right. That's right. Well, and in the early years too, and Shay and I have been candid about this, but we weren't in the healthiest of places, really, either of us. And so for the first few years, I feel like I was just like, we need to go to church on Sunday, went on the Sundays that he was even home. So that was tough.
Yeah.
That was a tough one to like overcome. But once you get through, through all that, the folding of the towels, the toilet,
having the conversations,
having hard conversations, finding a home church.
And I will say this too, because I think part of what I want to talk about today is just the dynamic of when you get past those early years and you're establishing the culture, the extended family. Because, we've talked a lot about culture in the Bible times, and as Mama would say, as Cindy would say, the Jewish people, because Mom loves to study
the Messianic Jewish culture,
and extended family was as every bit as important as your family unit at home. But I think one of the questions I get the most is, how are you all so close? And is that real? And are you and Hannah really best friends? And, we've talked about it, how it's just our personalities do go really well together. But there's just certain things that I do believe that our family has been intentional doing. Maybe we don't even realize that we did it, that really set the tone.
Right.
At the beginning.
Our upbringing, even though it was in different denominations, the upbringing itself, the core, the foundation was very similar. And there's not a day that goes by that Shay and I are not like, that's so rare.
Yeah.
That two people would come together and they were brought up basically
so rare
the same way. We were raised on farms in rural America, conservative Christians.
Yep.
And our parents are still married. Thank goodness.
Yep.
And every Sunday after church, we were either at Meemaw's or Nana's, and the whole family was there, all the aunts and uncles and cousins. And it was just very much a community.
Yes.
I don't know a better word for it, but it was very much a family and community upbringing.
Yes. And your cousins had your back. I mean, it just was... it was known from the beginning when I was younger that your cousins, your extended family, they're always going to be there for you. If nobody else is, they're going to be there for you.
Right.
And I think even if you don't come from that, it's important to recognize that it can happen.
It can happen.
And you can start it.
Right. You can be, the breaker of that generational whatever.
Yes.
And actually, this is interesting. A couple of years ago, I remember reading that our demographic, our generation,
our age,
yes, were not the start of, but there was a phenomenon happening with us that we would go off to college and move to cities. It was like the rural...
Almost all of my friends did that. Yeah.
It was like the rural Americans were collectively getting an education and then moving off to big cities to go get jobs. And what that did was it kind of created a crisis of, now what do we do? We've never lived away from our families. Now we're bringing up children away from their grandparents. And then you have to figure out like splitting time between flying here for Christmas or flying there for Thanksgiving or staying home and establishing your own traditions. And it's not something I don't think earlier generations faced as much because people were more prone to stay home, stay closer to family.
For those of you who went off to college, how's that homestead coming? Yeah. That's how it feels. For those of you that went to the big cities, how's that family compound?
How's that family compound coming? Because that is where we're at.
We learned our lesson. We learned our lesson and we came on.
We did. We went out to the real world and we said, that was nice, but I think I'm going to go home now.
I think I'll be heading on home.
I'm going to hit the old dusty trail.
That's funny because I've never thought about that, but you're exactly right. You know, our parents' generation just didn't do that. My mom's sisters live within.
That's right. That's my mom is one of 8, and they all live within probably a 40-mile radius.
Do you think that started maybe because college became such an important? Everyone just preached when I was younger. My parents not so much, but they said you need to go to college. Go have the independence and the experience.
And I think that our parents and that generation, just like all parents, want for their children maybe what they didn't have.
Yeah, you're right.
And so I think for them, they were told that the highest of, success is to get your college degree and then go out and get your job based on whatever that was.
Yep.
But things have changed so much and things change so rapidly that we have kind of been, in many ways, a guinea pig generation.
Yeah.
And then you see that COVID happened and working remotely became a thing and technology changed to the point where people could work from wherever and be more flexible. And frankly, we decided that we didn't want to be stuck in an office job.
And childcare, you start realizing you're working just to pay for childcare.
Right.
Whereas whenever I stayed by mom and she was the childcare.
Yeah.
Right. So, or my aunts or, my grandmother.
We just grew up in a place where if mom and dad needed to go do something or wanted to go do something, Mima or Nana or one of the aunts, someone could step in and be like, I've got the kids. Go do what you need to do.
I kind of am curious in America if that's a Southern thing or if it's because there are times that I'm speaking on things that I just feel like are normal and
for us, there are normal.
For us, it's normal. Yeah, I'm curious about that. Let us know.
We could drop a poll at the end of this episode.
Is that a Southern thing for your parents and your family to step in? I don't know.
But you've also seen the phenomenon, though, not to throw grandparents under the bus.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Where they're like, I'm done?
Yeah. Where the grandparents are all of a sudden like, I put in my time.
Yeah, I'm done.
You go be your parent. You go be a parent because I already did that once. And then.
But don't you think this is taking a rabbit trail?
That's not our.
No, that's not our parents. But I'm going to take a little rabbit trail of it real quick. I kind of think it's probably because of the gentle parenting and the fact that their kids. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, if I'm a parent and I'm a grandparent and then I see kids who are they're not obedient or they're not, on the same page with the parents, I'm probably like, I'm done.
Right. But
anyways, that's a whole other thing.
That is a rabbit trail because I'm like, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
I know.
Who was the first gentle parent?
I know.
Are they parenting that way because they were parented that way?
True.
Do you know what I mean?
I know.
We won't go there today.
We'll go there another
today.
Day. Was there anything with you and Shay? I'm curious because I know we want to get into like the overall, the broader culture. But starting with you and Shay, what was your, and you can be brutally honest with me, I love that. I don't think you're very comfortable doing it.
You used to stress me out.
I know. I do, though, when I say that. I do mean it. What was the thing that Shay brought to the table culture-wise, just like the day-to-day communication or whatever it is, that you were like, I cannot believe that their family does it like that? Can you think of anything? Or
honestly,
vice versa?
Nothing off the top of my head.
I'll start and you can think about it.
Okay, you start.
Cody was absolutely shook that we did so much together. Like there was an event all the time. all the time. And honestly, to me, it wasn't a big deal. Every cousin had a birthday.
Yeah.
So we would go to the cousin's birthday. And,
or graduation.
Or the graduation. We
game.
went to all of that. And so Cody was just mind blown that was happening.
Family reunions, you better not
He
miss
was
them.
like, you better not miss them. And you didn't miss him. He was shook. He was also shook that my entire family, this actually happened when we were married. I broke my toe. When I got to the hospital, my family was already there. Extended.
No.
Yes. They were in the waiting room.
I love this for you.
It's like the ER. I mean, everything just stops. And so that was probably one of the biggest adjustments because it hurt my feelings so bad when Cody was like, do I have to go to that?
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean do you have to go to that? That's so rude.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to come with me? And so, anyways, then later on, I realized it was just not as normal for his family. Yeah. His sister had moved away. There just wasn't as much of that.
Do you think that is more of a gender thing? Because I do know that in my family, it's more the women.
Yeah.
Who do the activities. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's a main event and there's food, the men will be there. The men will be there, and they will bring the casserole, and they'll carry all the things in.
They will. That's a good question. I don't know because that. Once again, let us know. We don't know.
Yeah. We're Southern.
I don't know.
We're Southern.
Families. We are.
We only know what we know.
We're a type. But I don't know because then I do see it be reversed quite a bit now that I'm thinking about it.
Like what?
There are, I have a good friend and it's the opposite. Okay. Where his family gets together a lot and her family doesn't. So I don't know. I think it's family culture, but that was one thing that was a little, because I thought that was weird.
I'm just thinking of births, baby cousin is born, the women come. Now the men not so much.
Sis, I'll tell you, my family, they be coming.
Oh, I know. I've had 4 babies, sis. I can't. I'm going to tell you something that I never want to take for granted, and that is the fact that I have had 4 babies.
Was that weird, sis?
And never,
there you go. Was that your weird moment?
It wasn't weird to me at all, but I didn't know any different. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I never want to take for granted that my entire extended family drove 8 hours to be there on the day.
And that's just how it is.
I'm talking midweek. A commitment.
Ready.
With their children.
And I'll tell you, I took several days off because it's an event.
Family culture.
It's a family culture.
It's important.
It is. Okay, so can you think of anything?
You know what, I can't.
Were you a little weirded out?
The only thing Shay and I have ever truly
I'm ready.
got
real
argumentative about is fighting over who is going to go to who's for holidays.
Well,
do you know why?
And you know what? Let's talk about that because tell me why, first of all.
Well, first of all, it's the same. It's it's equally as important to my family that I be there.
Yes.
As your family.
And do you remember us talking about this these are ways that we establish family culture that we don't even think about, we've never discussed. But do you remember what I told you early on when you and Shay were having this because we were friends, I
think I do.
Do you remember what I said?
I feel like you were like, you're just going to have to take turns and go ahead and choose beforehand and commit to it and then basically oscillate every other.
Yeah.
Isn't that what
it is what I said because
you weren't wrong.
I said, because I feel.
Well, you never want the other family to feel like they are getting the short end of the stick.
Well, and you're right, but I also saw so many people close to me trying to make both and just absolutely breaking their necks.
We did that for the first.
I know you did.
Okay, for the first couple babies, I'll say we did that, and I will say it because on our drive. Fortunately, everyone lives in Arkansas, okay? My sister lives in Memphis.
Yep.
So we could hit Thanksgiving lunch,
at
her house.
I really can't believe.
And keep driving.
The way that y'all.
To get on to Northwest Arkansas. Okay, so it was a long day. But once we had more than 2 kids, that was pretty much out the window.
It was out the window.
And I got tired.
And then, Christmas, I remember you.
Christmas is
I remember you guys felt so bad. And I told you, I said, sis, it's okay to want to have Christmas morning at your own house.
I remember you telling me this. You said you can start your own family tradition. And I was like,
Yes,
I can?
You can, and you should. And I'm not saying that I'm someone you need to listen to advice. I'm not just a wealth of knowledge, okay? But I think...
Do we solve world problems? Yes.
But I think, number one, family culture would be so much better if everyone else would think about the other person
Absolutely.
first. Think about them first. And just because you're carrying on the toxic behavior of everybody else's expectations coming first, you can stop that. It doesn't have to be ugly.
It doesn't have to be that way. And I want to say this about both of our moms. Both of our moms have been diligent.
They've been amazing.
To say, hey, if we think this out early enough,
Yep.
if I hosted, because both of our moms are still the hosters, you know, it's the matronly, it's the not patriarch, it's the matriarch.
It's the
mantle, if you
thing,
will. And so they are the hosters of the main event, you know?
Yeah.
And so mom is always so good, and your mom is always so good to be like, hey, if I scheduled this on the 20th, 21st, in one of these earlier days, would that give you time to do it? And also to see the other side of the fam.
Yep.
And
they always consider each other.
There's just so much consideration there.
Yeah.
And again, that started with our moms.
Yep.
So here we are just thriving in our culture because our moms started something
That's so
great.
true. So, culture, good family culture considers the other side.
It's consideration.
Consideration.
Definitely.
And it's intentional. I think that...
Can I tell you something real quick
please do.
before I forget it?
Yes, I want to hear it.
Shay and I always, even if it was like last year we went here, this year we're always when it would come time,
Yes.
Shay would be like, well, it's actually my sister's birthday.
Shut up.
Thanksgiving is on Erica's
so
birthday.
unfortunate.
And do you know,
honestly.
can I tell you something?
Yes.
You and my sister share the same birthday.
I know. Y'all, this was so funny.
Charity,
it's true.
You and Charity have the
Me and
same birthday.
Charity,
And
I
was
love
like,
you, Charity.
I was like, oh.
It's true. And you're like, well, it's also my sister's
I was
birthday.
like, well, I hate to hear that, but it's also Charity's birthday. So
it's so true.
you're not going to win that battle.
You're not going to win that battle, babe.
You know what else is
so funny.
hilarious and also kind of weird is that Shay shares the same birthday as my brother-in-law,
Oh, yeah,
Sean.
I forgot about that. That's bizarre.
It's kind of weird.
That's kind of bizarre.
But anyway, anytime anytime he wants to start being like, well,
he throws me in there.
he throws you in there hard. And I don't blame him, but I'm like, it's also my sister's birthday.
I will say,
you're not going to win this battle.
If I'm real honest, and you know, we were homeschooled. Everybody knows that. Not everybody, but you know that. And so I do feel like we have a dynamic that's pretty homeschool.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is we were each other's close friends growing up. And so that was another dynamic that Cody was like, that is weird. Like, I love your brother and I love your sister, but why are they? Because truly, especially in the early years, I would drop everything for my siblings. I will say this, and this is maybe an admission that I've never said out loud, but Shay and I have had this conversation, maybe not point blank, but there was a time probably that my marriage got the healthiest when I realized that Cody had to be first. Period. And I think that prepared me for you. And because when I figured that out, everything else really, family culture became something that was just second. It wasn't a problem anymore because ultimately what was the friction was that I was putting my family before my spouse.
Your siblings before your spouse.
My siblings before my spouse. And
I mean, to be fair, it's kind of a good problem to have, but understandably, you did have to
100%
reprioritize.
Who wants that? You know?
Yeah.
And so when you came along, I fully realized that I needed to make sure and give room for that and not ever make Shay feel bad for choosing his wife and his babies. So thank God for that he gave me that lesson early and I knew what that felt like and I knew that that was best for Shay and how he would be happy, how you would be happy, how our overall family would function better. And I will say this too, and you are this, I'll give this brag on you, and I love to brag on you. But you always you wanted Shay to have a relationship with me. Same thing with Gabby's husband. You've always left room for that. And matter of fact, we have our own relationship outside of that.
Right.
But what it did for me too, knowing these things and just having a healthy family culture, Cody's sister lives in Tennessee. And even recently we had this conversation with her. I have always told Cody, hey, have you called your sister? When's the last time you called your sister? I've never tried to pull him away. And I see so many people absolutely wreck family culture without even knowing it by being selfish and not wanting that for their spouse.
That's wild to me. Like, I can't.
And it exists.
Fathom it.
But
Honestly,
it's more normal than
I see it online.
not.
I do see it online.
Yeah.
And
that's what starts to erode everything before it even has a chance, honestly. Same thing with mother-in-law. I mean, you've always given so much honor to my mom, and that helps family culture. Because when you give honor to my mom, same thing with Miss Alita, I always give honor to Miss Alita because she deserves it. And same thing with your dad. It is so important, the words that you say and the honor that you give. And I think honor is a big thing in family culture.
Big thing.
Yeah.
And can I say this? Sometimes I think that wives need to stop. Maybe husbands too, but I can only speak for a wife. Sometimes I think that they need to stop and be like, my husband is the man he is because of this woman. Or because of,
That's right.
This mom and dad. And so, again, I can't picture that dynamic for myself, but I know that it's out there and I know it's pervasive.
Yep.
And so maybe that's a question people need to be posing. Like, hey, you love this man that you're married to. He is who he is.
Yep.
In part, probably in large part because of his mama.
Absolutely.
So if nothing else, then she deserves honor in that regard.
That's right.
And
by actual definition, you are a peacemaker. Personality,
I am.
You are a peacemaker. Enneagram proven peacemaker. I think that brings blessing on your family. No matter who you are, whether you're the mom, the sister-in-law, the sister, the wife, if you can be the one that cultivates peace in the family, have you noticed that person's pretty easy to identify in a family?
Always. And can I say this really quickly? Because I think this is an important distinction. And I heard it the other day and my mind was blown. I wish I could give credit, but peacekeeping and peacemaking are two different things.
Explain that to me.
It's often pretty, I don't want to say contentious, but the act of making peace actually requires tension and
honesty
and it's hard.
Yeah, change.
Versus peacekeeping.
That's good.
Which is more sweeping something under the rug, omitting something so as not to stir the pot. Versus really addressing an issue, a root cause that's actually going to be pretty painful.
Yeah.
To get down to what's really happening and then creating true peace.
That's good.
Because peacekeeping and peacemaking are like two different things.
That's mind-blowing, honestly. I've not thought about it like that. And the Bible says, and anytime the Bible says blessed are, or you will be blessed, I'm like, okay, well, let me write that down. So the Lord says, blessed are the peacemakers. And so I want blessing on my family, and
it's almost like the state of our country, if you think about it. It's the peacemakers. What does it take to have peace?
That's good.
Peace through strength.
That's true.
And so there's an element there that I think oftentimes you think it is easy to identify the one that's like, oh, let's keep the peace.
That's good. That's so good.
But if they're peace, how do I say this? If they're peacekeeping instead of peacemaking, then oftentimes that person gets buried under
Absolutely. And that
the stress of it.
long term.
And something might explode there.
That's exactly right. Because long term, it's really just.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable and it's not real. And the thing is if you take the time to make peace, that's so good. If you take the time to make peace, that's generational.
That's right.
And that's really, really good.
I mean, we were talking. Actually, I'm going to have your parents on at some point. But Shay and I were talking the other night and just talking about some things. And we're talking about a crack in a foundation, metaphorically. And it's so much easier to restart that process and like tear up the slab that's been poured and re-pour it. When you see it versus you build a whole house on it and then there's going to be so much more collateral.
That's true.
If you try to address that crack later on.
And when you shared that with me the other day, I thought, oh my gosh, that's a great visual too. I know there are people watching or listening that they're like, well, we're so happy for you that you have a family culture.
But you don't
That's
understand.
So great.
It's not like we don't have our issues.
We have our issues. We absolutely have our issues. There's been honest moments. And, the good thing is our families are spirit-led. And so I feel like even when I act up, Holy Spirit yanks me aside.
Come around real quick,
and gets me together. However, what do you do when you want to establish family culture and you don't want to leave anybody out, but there is a dynamic there.
It's not healthy.
That's not healthy. Or because when you introduce children into family culture,
right?
Sometimes you have to establish boundaries.
That's right.
Because certain people are not of the same mind.
They're not going to be respectful
of your boundaries or your family culture.
Right.
So what do we say to those people who say, man, our family culture is just not where it should be, and what do we do? What do we do?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think it's more important for the man to address this? Say the husband and wife have established some boundaries to protect their family culture.
Yeah.
Do you think it's more important for the husband as the leader of the house to address this to whoever's side of the family? Or do you think it should be more on that person's side? Do you know what I mean? Because I kind of err on the side of let the person deal with.
I do.
Not deal with, but let them address it first.
Yes. With their own side of the family.
Right.
Yeah. I'm kind of like opinion-wise, for my opinion. I don't know biblically, because I know biblically the man is the priest of the home. But I think for me, what I've seen works is, you know how to communicate with your side of the family.
That's right.
So that's been mine.
I think take this with a grain of salt, but I think what I would do is I would have whatever spouse address their side of the family should a boundary be crossed.
Yes.
And if that is the wife, and if that doesn't land, then I think it might be the husband's time to step up.
That's true.
As the head and say, until you can respect and honor our family's boundaries or, what we're asking for our children or for our home, then maybe it's not a good thing for you to be here until you're ready to do that.
100%.
Or maybe it's not a good thing for us to come visit until you're comfortable with that.
100%. And I think that's why the Bible says, leave and cleave.
That's right.
Talking about the husband, I mean, you really are building something, and your calling is first to your family, your immediate family, to the kids and to your wife or to your husband. And so, and I think sometimes we don't address things as couples or as immediate family. And so the overall culture doesn't even have a chance to be good because, for instance, like I said earlier, alluded to and did admit to, there was so much in the beginning where I put my siblings before my husband. And what that does is it creates a bitterness.
Resentment.
And that's just one example.
But resentment, I think, is probably a common denominator in a lot of unhealthy family dynamics, right?
I've seen it, and I will tell you, I think I think, and actually I was talking to my girls about this a couple of days ago, as I told them, I said, one of them wasn't being happy for the other one for whatever reason, and I won't rat you out who it was. But I said, my daughters, our family, one thing that you will be is you will be happy for your siblings. When they win, I don't care.
We all win.
We all
We're on
win.
the same team.
We all win. And I think one of the most important things to establish in your family early on and talk about is not everybody gets it. Life's not fair.
Yeah.
And, that's maybe not the most biblical way to say it. But, let's just get really real here, okay? If my brother becoming successful, you and Shay being successful, if I looked at that and said, God, why would Shay be successful and not me?
Right.
Why can't I have those things? Why can't I? Shay and I and you and I would not be close because all I'm doing is focusing on material stuff and stuff that doesn't, at the end of the day, matter. But there are, on a much different, and even like on a more small level, for instance, well, why are mom and dad keeping Erica's kids
right.
and not my kids today? Or, it just starts with the little bitty things.
Yeah.
The small foxes spoil the, what is that? Something?
I know
Something. Okay. I'm not good with my sayings, but it's the little things that get in. And then you see these older people who they're not happy, sis. And you really can't pinpoint it.
Right.
You can't.
And they might not even.
I don't think they even notice. And they can't walk in. They can't be happy for other people.
Seeds of resentment that have been planted, and they've allowed to grow. And when that happens, you just have to uproot.
Yeah.
Or what you live through is seeing generations of that, I think, come down the line.
It absolutely affects.
Because I'm a big believer in generational anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's so important.
It's so important. I think that we should, at some point, take questions, because I think there's some things I can anticipate, like how do you guys stay close and things like that.
And we were friends.
We were friends,
but I was friends with you before I was friends with Shay. I don't want to say that, but
you were dating, but he was not as nice as me.
No, it's when he tried to take me on our first date, and he was like, "Come meet my sisters," and I was like, "Great." Was not interested in dating, but I loved you. Loved you and Gabby.
I like to think I sealed the deal.
I like to think that when we went out to dinner that night, that y'all were prepared with your files to be like, and you could tell that I was like,
we loved you.
Not
we
super
wanted
interested
to take you
in
home.
Shay, but I was like, what can we get into together?
We were great friends. I remember all those, because we were young, and I remember we went to the bathroom together, which is probably TMI. But we did that quick.
A girl's girl knows.
A girl's girl, and we would go together, and we were just fast friends immediately. We were. So that's a blessing. But I will say,
it's also a blessing that you and Shay are pretty much the same person.
Yeah.
Very,
well, I don't know if it's a blessing for
very
you.
Very close personality types.
Yeah.
And I married him, and then you're my best friend. You're one of my best friends. So
it helps.
It helps. Yeah, I do. We were talking about this a little bit yesterday, and you were like, we could talk. And I was like, the thing about us is our personalities go well together. Yep. And I'm not stupid enough to think that every, dynamic is going to be as seamless. But I also think that your mom prayed that into the picture.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to understate how important prayer is.
It definitely
we pray over our kids' spouses already. Because God already knows who's going to come in and complement, what he's already building.
That's right.
And so I like to think, I know that God prepared us for that.
Start praying now.
Start praying now.
And I think one way if you really set your mind and focus on the dynamic that you want to see, the family culture that you want to see someday, And maybe it's not the culture that you experienced.
Right.
Maybe you didn't have the best culture at home growing up, but you can start now praying for that future culture.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what
and not
age
just
you
praying,
are.
but like living it out.
Because being intentional.
I am deep in like parent algorithm.
Yes.
And so I'm just like, that's like all I send. Shay and I just send each other things back and forth. And we take with a grain of salt, but a lot of what you see is a daughter will receive whatever from a man one day. She will accept whatever treatment from a man one day that she got from her father.
That's right.
And so then you have to think about, what do I want my daughter to accept as true? Do we want her to go to a man that doesn't value her, that doesn't honor her, that isn't all these things that her father was to her?
Yes.
And so you start implementing that early. One of my friends has a little girl, and she's 4, I think, and he takes her on daddy-daughter dates every Friday.
It's amazing.
He goes and buys her little dresses. And he is showing her that like, this is how a man is going to treat you, and it starts early. And then I will say on the flip side, for sons, to be honest with you, I want Shay to show them silly things. I don't need flowers.
Yes.
I don't need like things, but I do want Shay to do things occasionally in front of the boys because I want them to know that this is the standard and this is how you should treat someone one day. And I actually remember once when Shay was not in the place that he is now, and he wasn't as close to everyone back home. And I actually remember saying to him, I need you to get this together. I want you to work on your relationship with your mom.
Yep.
It wasn't bad, but there wasn't much.
Yes.
And I said, like, I remember crying, and I was like, if this is how it is right now with you and your mom, then I can expect our boys to treat me the same way. Not that he was treating your mom in a certain way. He just wasn't super receptive to her.
Yep.
Like answering phone calls.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to put him on blast, but we all go through it.
We all go through it.
But I just specifically remember being like hit in the gut, and I was like, if you're not going to answer your mom's phone calls,
But Hannah, I don't think you realize how rare that is. I think most women, I'm not going to paint with a broad brush. Right. There are many women who love the fact that their husband does not, that their husband completely moves away from that relationship. And what they don't understand is, just like you said in so much wisdom, I don't want that someday from my kids.
Think about what you want from your children, because oftentimes they're going to do what they see.
That's right. And, I think a mom is nearly a saint, but she's not perfect. And, every mother is the same when it comes to that. You're not going to be perfect. As much as I want to try, I'm not going to be perfect with my communication. I'm not going to be, sometimes I'm probably going to text and maybe they want to do something else, or you call and, or maybe you text and they want to call, or whatever that looks like. But man, that was such wisdom. And I think that's something that maybe some women will be convicted of listening to this, of realizing,
you're going to get what you give.
You need to think about that. If
you've got sons, think about the relationship that you want with your sons, and think about what you want modeled for them.
That's right.
Do you want to pivot really quickly and talk about some smaller, and maybe, I say smaller, but more fun or practical ways that we have started implementing? Like I said, I feel a little hypocritical because we don't necessarily have a family culture yet with the boys that we like do all the time. We're establishing it though, because Asher's 8, James is 5, Abram's 2, and then Aubrey's 5 months. So we're working on it, and there's things that we've picked up that'll probably stick, and there's things that may not stick. But if there's anything that we know, it's that we're inconsistent, and we will try anything we think would be positive for our family. So we do family movie nights.
Loved that.
We're also pretty old school. I don't know if you could consider this culture, but I feel like it is. I also think there's a movement. I've heard this. There's a movement of like millennial moms and parents in general that have gone back to like old tech.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a VHS player.
I love
You
it.
already know when we go antiquing
Yep.
that I mean, how sad is it that you buy VHSs when you go antiquing? But
Yes.
that's how old we are.
That's how old we are.
So I buy VHS tapes and I buy DVDs because we will let our boys, have a movie night together, let them pick it, have some popcorn, and I mean, it's the time of their
love
life.
it.
They feel so big and so grown, and like they get the choice of picking the movie, even though Shay and I bought the movies
Yes.
that they get to choose from.
Yes.
So it feels like a win-win. Shay and I get to relive some of our childhood favorites.
Yep.
And it feels like we're establishing, our hope is that we're establishing between them like a relationship of communicate, because we're like, you can't watch anything unless you agree on it. So then
It helps. Yes.
there's little wins.
There's
you know
little
what I mean?
wins.
And then sometimes they don't agree. And then we're like, all right, everybody go to bed.
no family movie night.
No family movie night. But I think there's a lot of fun things that you can do to implement when they're little that kind of escalates, and you're in the older years.
Yes. Well, I will say, Hannah, that it was those moments that established now what we have with our teens and preteen. Both of them are
Sis,
teenagers
Ellie
now.
told me. Ellie told me the other day about one of her friends being over, and she was like, and she just didn't understand that like we needed our family time, and she had been over for a while.
Yeah.
And she was kind of savage. She straight up was like, I need you to go home
funny.
because
That's so
it's family night.
Well, absolutely.
And sis, she's 15 and she doesn't even realize
no, she doesn't. It's just normal to her.
that is your culture.
Yes, it is our culture.
You've worked for that.
I will say Cody gets all the credit for that, because you know me, I'm a 7 and I'm like, you come over and you come over and you come over. And the older I get, though, I'm very much
Protective of
family time. But when they were very young, Cody started this with us, and we would do Andy Griffith and all of the things. They've watched
Y'all
all
do
the
karaoke
things.
nights?
All the
Do you
things.
still do karaoke nights?
We do. And now it's turned into,
I got invited once. I didn't get invited back.
You didn't? We haven't done it in a long time.
Well, I'm not the best karaoke.
But it's an open invitation for
Thank
you.
you.
But we did do stakeouts now, and Cody cooks, and all the kids, we hang outside. It's no phones. Cody will usually set up washers. Actually, we did it the other night.
Yeah.
Because we had been doing, all of us had been getting together a lot.
Walk through the orchard, pick
Walked
some
through the
blackberries.
orchard. Yeah.
It was heaven.
It was heaven.
Compound life, man.
Compound life. And I think it's just going to get better. And, but yeah, it starts with the little things and just the boundaries of protecting. And you're not wrong. I mean, as embarrassing as it is, our family established early, there's certain times where it's just us.
That's not embarrassing, though.
Yeah.
That's being intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that's what Ellie knows.
Yeah.
And she's going to take that, and that's going to be her expectation for her own children. And I love that.
You know what I heard one time, Hannah? And I do think this is the culmination of everything we've talked about. This is the goal of all of it, is that our kids want to come back home.
Our kids.
You know what I mean? They don't want to leave us.
Listen, if you don't get anything else out of this podcast and you want your kids to come back home,
this is these are little things. Someone I heard the other day, it is the kids that come back home are the kids that they identified home as a place of peace.
Yeah.
And not chaos.
I love watching business accounts and reels, and there's one that's always stuck out to me, and it was this very, very wealthy man, and he said, they asked him what his definition of success was, and he said, my definition of success is my adult children wanting to spend time with me.
And there it is.
And there it is. And
there it is.
And there it is. And I think it's that family dynamic, but it's also the family working together, I think, in unison in a lot of ways towards a greater purpose. And that is what God is calling the family to.
That's right.
And I think in a lot of ways, our family, it is special, but I think that because we're grounded in Christ, and because we've all been intentional in asking God what he wants for our lives. We've also been obedient in making moves to grow us closer together, but also in helping us to make an impact for his kingdom and whatever that looks like. But I know that Satan hates the nuclear family.
Yes.
Because I think that any healthy, not just community, but like nation or, you know, what's bigger than family? It's just like, it's the building block. It's the atom of the world.
It's what makes a healthy nation,
It's
families,
what
and
makes
that's why Satan's agenda has been
to wreck
the family.
Which is why I'm glad that we talked about this today.
I think
and we don't have all the answers, but what we can tell you is if you start early and you are intentional and you do things that are fun and you make it the norm for your kids, it becomes their expectation for their growing up years. It's their expectation in marriage. It's their expectation with their children, and they'll go on to create a culture within their home. Right. It will look a little different, but hopefully those core values will be the same. Just like our core values are going to be the same as our parents of God, family, you know, and then everything else. Because it might look so different than it used to, but we're still championing Christ first.
That's right.
Love for the family, and then relationship and loving people well.
That's right.
Outside of the home.
I would love to know, what do you do to establish a healthy family culture? I would love to know what our listeners do.
Love to know that too.
Because I might want to do it.
We'll post.
I want to know.
I want to hear back from everyone.
The older I get, the more I realize I need advice.
Yes.
You know, I want to know what's
I was actually going to pull one up
know?
today, but I couldn't find it. I saved too many things. But it was good. It was like our family culture, and it was very, you know, no screens until they're a certain age, which I fully am behind.
Yep.
Like family nights, family dinners. Family dinners are so important. We don't really do that.
I know. We try, but it's a hard one.
Having a 5-month-old and a 2-year-old and a high chair, there's just, you know. But I think as we grow, that will evolve too.
Yes.
At least we know what the end goal is. And you know, one last thing, I think it's probably important to establish goals as a family.
I love that.
I know that a lot of the things that I've seen, they say we have family meetings once a week or once a month, whatever that looks like. And Shay and I have talked about it, but trying to get, no, we're just not there right now. Our attention span is not going to handle even a 10-minute sit down with like, what's our family up to this week? But in the future, and you're probably to a place where you could sit down and have a healthy, like, hey, what's going on in our lives this week? I think communication, like leaving a line of communication open with your kids and knowing that you are the place that they can come to and should come when they have questions, and that we won't know all the answers, but we will move heaven and earth to help them figure it out or help sit with them in it.
Yep.
We won't know it all. But we can sit with them in it, and 100%. Chances are pretty high that we've lived through it.
Absolutely. And letting you be the one they come to. That
like
is
you said, the safe place to come to.
Yes, the safe place to come to. I'm proud of us, sis. We have lived through, it's kind of crazy. Where we're at. And I absolutely, like you said, we don't have all the answers, but we know that God's will is for us to continue to pursue
and encourage
togetherness and to encourage other people. Let them know they can do it.
Yeah.
You got this.
I just love that you said that, you know, people ask you that all the time. And people don't ask me, but I'm also living in a bubble. I don't see a lot of adults.
That's true, sis. You're just in that season.
I am.
Yeah, you're less accessible.
But I'm
okay
with it. I'm okay with it. You know, me and the Lord have talked it through.
Thank you for letting me.
Thank you for coming back.
I love being with you.
Thank you for opening season 2.
Are you kidding me? I'm
Here's
honored.
the thing. I just want to throw the white elephant out. It's probably in the room. I've got over 100 episodes.
Yes.
You know,
I can't believe that.
I do. And
it's amazing.
I think that I just needed the gift of time to adjust as a family of 6 and just like recalibrate a little bit.
We've missed you.
So I'm glad
that I love listening to you and love that you're back.
Well, you're going to As you know, you're probably going to be on more episodes, and I think that everyone listening is going to enjoy that too. I know everyone's going to benefit from it.
Thank you, sis.
And we've got fun stuff coming down the pipeline.
Absolutely.
I think we might do some couples episodes.
I'm pretty pumped about that.
I've got a really good guest list.
Yes.
Assuming that some of them say yes. So and I know
can't wait.
some of them will because they already have. But it's gonna be a fun summer, and I'm hoping that we will launch this going into a new school year, and as people start to get back into routines outside of summer.
Yes.
So thank you for coming back.
Thank you,
Thank
sis.
everyone for listening and for joining us again. And we look forward to seeing you next episode.
Bye,
Love you guys.
Thank you so much for listening today. If this episode has encouraged you, please feel free to share the show with your family and friends. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world today, and my hope is that this show is a candle in the dark.